Well, hi, y'all. Decided to do something different. We're going to do physical geography right now. So, class number 5, number 17. All right, you got that? All right. So we're going to be going over forms of government. This is really interesting topic because in Asia, you've got quite a few different forms of government, and you'll begin to see how their religious beliefs impact their form of government so much. And we'll also I would have this sheet handy as we're reading through this because I'm going to go through. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 questions that are going to come from me in this video and not from the reading. So make sure you're listening. So let's get into it. Let's start out. It says, following the terrorist attacks in the United States on September 11, 2001, the U.S. launched 2 massive military invasions in the Middle East. Its objective was to liberate 2 countries, Afghanistan and Iraq, of links to terrorist groups grounded in radical Islam and violently hostile toward the U.S. The first invasion, carried out across Afghanistan beginning in 2001, rid the Afghan government of the Taliban, the ruling organization that espoused military action against the West and oppressive versions of Islamic law. So ironically enough, if you do some studying in your history, in the 80s, the United States actually supported the Taliban because they were fighting the Russians. So now the people we supported we are now getting rid of because now they're fighting us. The second launched in 2003 deposed Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein, a war criminal who gassed his own people and had sought to develop chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons. Hussein's Iraq had instigated the Persian Gulf War in 1990 with an invasion of Kuwait, and when an international coalition had ousted him from the country the following year, he was left in power in Baghdad, Iraq. In the year since, Hussein had expanded his support for terrorist organizations and had viciously attacked the United States and the press. When U.S.-led Allied forces captured Baghdad in 2003, Hussein escaped and hid in Iraq for most of the year. He was finally captured in December, and in 2006, a multinational court found him guilty of war crimes and executed him. Radical insurgents in Iraq reorganized and utilized guerrilla warfare techniques, including suicide bombings by women and children. However, establishment of a stable Iraqi government has been an important step to peace for the long oppressed Iraqi citizens. All right, so we're going to talk for a second about the establishment of a stable government. Y'all have been studying history. Some of you have had some government classes with Mr. Vaughn. What is required or what is needed to have a stable biblical government? Any question? Any idea? One of the number one things is a people who are self-governed. And that is something that governments in the Middle East are not used to. Their religious beliefs are very top-down. You do what you're told. There's a lot of control. There's a lot of ends up being tyranny because of the fact that from that control, people abuse their authority and people are told what to do. And this has been happening for hundreds of years, over 1,000 years at least. I can't remember when Islam started, but that is the culture that they have been living and the government style that has been style of government that has been governing the homes, which is where your civil government starts. So your civil government, and it will be an expression of what type of government is happening in the home. In the home, the husband is in charge and he tells the family what to do. And that's it. His word is law. There is no arguing. Women are second-class citizens. Children are do what you're told or you're beaten. So it's a very oppressive family government style, which has led to a very oppressive civil government style. And the United States and others have tried to institute Western style governments that incorporate a lot of self-government And that's why oftentimes they fail, is because the people don't have the self-government to be able to handle a civil government that allows for freedom such as the ability to vote, the ability to govern yourself so that certain laws are not needed. They've been so used to being told and forced what to do that when they don't have that, they don't have the civil government. When they don't have large amounts of civil government being told what to do, they don't have the self-government because they don't have the influence of the Bible and the Holy Spirit to teach them that. Remember, people learned how to govern themselves and govern civilly through when they received the Bible in their hands and when they could read it. That's how they learned how to apply civil government and self-government in the home and in the state. And these countries don't have that. They don't have that foundation. And so that's why oftentimes they fail, and those are the things that determine the learning of how to govern oneself and how to govern civilly through biblical principle. And that's why oftentimes our style of government doesn't function well there. It's because the people are not prepared to have that yet. So let's keep going. So he said, however, establishment of stable Iraqi government has been an important step for the peace for the long opposed Iraqi citizens. And if you know this has been a long process. It says, Iraq's government is the newest in Asia and is at the front of a long line of newly created countries. Let's turn the page. Constitutions. Asia's governmental styles run the gamut from open Western-style democracies like Hong Kong and Israel to closed, oppressive dictatorships like North Korea and China. Some nations, or at least territories they occupy, date back to before the time of Christ. Others have emerged only recently in the shadow of the Cold War and other conflicts. Although the succession of military coups in Latin America and massive unrest in Africa, so we'll study those later on, top even the most exciting moments in the Asian politics. Governments on the world's largest continent are often at the center of the world stage, for better or for worse, oftentimes for worse because of oppressive regimes or tyrannical regimes. So I'm going to have you read, let's see, so starting right here in the Middle East, all the way down to, this is describing the different types of government. Let's see. So the rest of page 49, I'll have you read that. And then to right here, I'm going to pick up right here on page 50, is where it says in Central Asia. In Central and South Asia, a few countries employ parliamentary systems, as well as several others are full presidential republics. Russia and Mongolia are examples of parliamentary governments. The former Soviet nations of Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan are examples of the latter. Most nations in the region typically considered South Asia have parliamentary republics. This includes India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. The semi-presidential Republic of Sri Lanka and strong constitutional monarchy in Bhutan are exceptions. Turkmenistan is similar to Syria in that it is ruled by a single party. Degrees of freedom and democracy vary by country, as some are relatively open and others are relatively corrupt and oppressive. And oftentimes you'll find the ones that are more open are more westernized and have a greater Christian influence than the ones that are more oppressive. Let's see. I'm going to have you read the next paragraph by yourself to right here. Let's go to right here where it says India, because I want to get to that. It says, India was controlled by Great Britain until 1947 and has established a democracy, albeit an imperfect one. Among the biggest problems in India is its caste system, a Hindu establishment and Hinduism is the largest religion in India. I think it's over 90% of India is Hindu. But this caste system in which citizens are born into one of several social classes that do not change throughout their lives. So if you're born into a certain social class, that means there's only certain jobs that are open to you. There's only certain places you can go. There's only certain people you can marry. And I've seen this because when I was in India, we were witness to it. And you have to stay within that social order, within those social limits. It's like if you're in one caste and this girl you like is in another caste that's higher than you, you can't date her. It's off limits. And even though it says officially illegal, the caste system is nonetheless pervasive throughout India and is the basis for discrimination and poor treatment of huge number of Indians. So we have this kind of hard issue here with the caste system. And supposedly India is a democracy. But how is that caste system going to conflict with a democracy? Well, here's what happens. Number one, in a democracy or with something with democratic foundations, you're supposed to be able to elect anybody. Well, guess what? If you're not in the right caste, you're not going to be able to run for office. Your financial ability is going to be limited. Your social ability is going to be limited. And so how are you, as a representative of your caste, going to be able to represent your caste if you're not allowed within politics? That caste system, even though it's quote unquote illegal, it's still very much in effect because it's part of their culture and has been for a very long time. And it's part of their religious beliefs too, which makes it even harder. If it wasn't part of their religious beliefs, then okay, you can understand it. But because it's a part of the religious beliefs, it's part of internal conviction that says, because I'm in this caste, I'm either able to do anything I want, or I'm not able to do certain things because I wasn't born in the right caste. And it also has to do with religious beliefs of Hinduism, because Hindus believe in reincarnation, which means they believe that you were born into the conditions you are because of your previous lifestyle and life choices. So that means if you are probably a really good person in your previous life, that's why you get to be born into a higher caste that allows you more opportunities and a better life. But if you were bad in your previous life, that means you're probably born into a low caste where you've got to suffer and through all this other stuff and just try to make do. And the crazy thing is if someone tries to help someone from a low caste rise to a better caste or rise or do well, it's actually bad for them because it's like they're helping or making someone's condition in their life better, but it should be worse because they did bad stuff in their previous life. It's a horrible, never-ending cycle. To the point where there are people who are dying on the streets and nobody does anything to help them because they believe that that is their due punishment for something that they did wrong in their previous life. It's utterly amazing. And that's why if you ever look up in Calcutta, India, the work that Mother Teresa did and her legacy of being able to go in and help the lowest of the lows, people who were dying on the streets, who were living in garbage dumps. Excuse me. So, excuse me for one moment. So, that's why it's so hard. I'm going to let you all finish out the reading and look at the rest of your questions. And then the last question is, it's a reasoning question. You're going to have to think this out and come up with your own answer. I'm not going to give it to you. But it says, based upon what you know of government, why do you believe so many of the nations of Asia have oppressive and corrupt forms of government? I've actually said some of it, but I want you to reason through and think about it. Lastly, I'm going to include, actually, you know what? No, I'm going to make a different video for that. So, hope you are doing well, and that will be it.